My daddy showed Papa's garden. I love the garden. I'm a garden boy.
Well, welcome to my garden. Come on in, have a look, and lick your lips because they look good. My name is Nick Dewall, or Nicholas Anthony.
My name is Hendrika Maria Vink. That's my maiden name.
I was the son of a barber, and I helped in the shop.
I was born in a small town in Holland. It was called Wijngaarden.
Traveled by boat and trained. We moved here to McIntosh Drive, planted all kinds of shrubs, trees. After that, we developed more garden space in the back as well, and planted strawberries and raspberries and blackberries.
We had a very hard time the first years in Canada. Very difficult time. But we made it.
Planted 3 peach trees, planted a plum tree, and so we have a lot of our own fruit. We freeze a lot of it, and we enjoy it all winter long.
Winter. All plants are sleeping.
And you'll see when I cut it just above where it starts to sprout. Here's 2 of them. I don't need 2, so I'll just clip it right there. And this one is goes to the inside, and we don't want anything growing to the inside. You know, I think it's somewhat natural too that you know how to plant beans. You don't plant them upside down. 2 apple trees, 1 here and 1 more here. But each apple tree is grafted with 6 varieties. 3 varieties this way, 3 different varieties that way. We'll have early apples, and we even have very, very late apples, what they call a winter apple. And now there's 1 more branch from each tree, and put them right up to here, and then clip the tip out of it, so that that's how high they'll go, and they'll go sideways again. So I have branches coming on here. But I did notice that as closer they are to the ground, the less fruit we get. If I ever have to do this again, I'll start with higher trees, higher off the ground. But hey, we'll learn as we go along.
I love raspberries.
1 row of raspberries. These canes here, they'll produce fruit this year. Last year's canes die out, they all have to be pruned out, and they're already gone. I kept most of the cane, bend it over, tied it down, clip the top out of it, so now we'll get all kinds of fruit laterals here. I'll leave 3 to 4 canes per plant, no more, otherwise you get more fruit but very small. Okay, this will be beans this year, pole beans, and these are the blackberries then, so we don't have to grow the same crop twice in a row. These are my strawberries, and they'll grow right over the pot, hang down here, and it's easy to pick, and they're clean, and the slugs don't get at them. So I got myself a new young peach tree. So these are getting older. This will get much larger. Here's where I pruned it back because it was far too long. I pruned this one back, but here's a little branch that'll be, you know, twice the size next year, of course. So that's your fruit buds right there. Here's another one. But some of them are leaf buds as well, and then the bigger ones are the fruit buds. Here's my little greenhouse. I keep a little fan going, so the air is always circulating. I keep a little heater here, just enough to keep the moisture out of here, keep stuff from molding. Lots and lots of work again. But I'm looking forward to it and enjoying it. And as long as God bless me with the crop, I'm very happy with it. So, we don't like using much fertilizer, chemical fertilizer or chemical sprays. On the fruit trees, for instance, I use lime sulfur 3 times in the spring. And that pretty well kills everything that's under the bark or around the tree itself. But you see the moss that goes on, and that's because I haven't sprayed it with lime sulfur. That's why that one has no moss on it, or dead moss now. And lime sulfur gets into the stems and kills all the bugs that are behind there. I don't like eating sprayed fruit, and nor does anybody else. So I don't have to spray in the summertime. And if I do have to spray, if the aphids are bad, I use a soap solution only. Banana peels, orange peels, or leaves, grass cuttings, all of that goes in here, and this will be ready next spring. Well, I can use this and this spring in another month or so. See how nice the soil is. Ready to go over my beds and ready to be planted. It's just beautiful stuff. lots of worms in here, so put that out in the garden, and the worm manure helps all things to grow as well. Anytime, you can grow your own stuff, that's so healthy. And that's why I'm at 102, I still look like only 80. We've been here now for 25 years. There's basically nothing around this place when we came here. So we've had to plant every plant that's here. But now we have everything under the sun. We have strawberries and raspberries and blackberries and peaches.
Spring, no baby plants are growing.
Everything has to be watered. Everything has to be picked. Everything has to be weeded. So there's a tremendous amount of work. So I'm not looking for something that's hard to do. Because you can keep plants too wet, and that's no good either. You want to water maybe every other day, but never too much, because if it's too much, they just rot. You see, it's not very high, it's not very big, but it's big enough for a little guy like me, and big enough for all the plants I can possibly grow. And potatoes, you'll only harvest 1 or 2 pails or plants per day or per week, depends on how many you need. So that doesn't matter too much. The beans, you'll pick 1 meal or 2 meals at a time. So let's say that takes you an hour or 2 every day, but it has to be done. You have to keep it on. 1st of July, we'll have lots of new potatoes already. And I'm looking forward to nice little new potatoes with butter sauce over it. That's my favorite. And I like to use rainwater much rather than tap water, because the tap water, even in Silowak, although we have beautiful water, it has chlorine in it now. And chlorine, of course, is not the best thing to use for plants, especially when they're small. If we saved all our rainwater in barrels or whatever, we would have enough water for our own supply and for our gardens. With radishes, a very early variety of carrots, and my lettuce. It's ready to be cut, and I'll cut it probably tonight and have a nice salad tonight. But they already have 2 or 3 leaves on each one. So now they'll really start to grow fast. It's a nice warm area here. This cloth here, if it gets cold at night, I'll put this cloth over it so the frost don't touch it. Radishes are still too small to pull out. That's a variety. I'll pull one out. Maybe you can see it. Look at the roots on it. Nice deep soil. Yeah, it tastes like a radish already. So that's good, that's nice. From the time I seeded them till now, it's about 6 weeks. And in about 2 weeks, they'll be all ready to go. They'll only last until the last ones are pulled. So in about 5 weeks, there'll be no radishes left, but I'll have a new pot going already by that time. You learn as you go along, and of course, all you have to do is look in a seed catalog, and they'll tell you when to plant or how deep, how far apart. Okay, this is how I take my cuttings. Take the bottom leaves off, and this has to be cleaned off. Stick it into a rooting powder and then into soil. And of course here is a bloom already coming, so I'd pick that out too, because otherwise that takes too much growth away from the plant itself. But this is how we start new geranium plants. I'll continue to take cuttings this spring, and I'll have some to give away as well. So it's a pleasure to take your own cuttings. We also use mason bees who work the blossoms on the trees, because there's not enough regular bees around, so it's a special type of bee.
I don't love bees.
They lay their eggs first in the back, and then they fill it in with whatever the cocoons will eat next spring, and they eat their way out, and then they go out and visit the plants again. There's so many new ones in every house that I don't need any new ones this year. And they're just starting to bloom now. Some of them just starting. They'll open right up. The bees will work them. Once the apples start to come in, I'll take maybe the smallest 1 or 2 out and let the rest grow. Different varieties here, because this is a different color bloom again than what this is. So that's where you tell there's different varieties. And I love doing this. This is my life.
It was a very good place for the kids to grow up. We had a real old house, and our house was Grand Central Station. It was always full. There was always extras, and which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was very difficult when they all left, because the friends went too. So all of a sudden it was empty. So then we had an empty house.
There's nothing nicer than to walk into the garden later on during the year, pick off an apple and eat it, or pull out a carrot, wipe it on your pen leg and eat it. Keeps us healthy, keeps my belly down. Summer bearing raspberry, and then I have here, that's what's called an ever bearing raspberry, and they'll start fruiting around the middle of July up until frost. They just keep going, keep going. There's a little smaller raspberry, but very, very tasty. So that's why I always have a few on the end here and on the end of the row on the other side. Loosen the ground every early fall. I make sure the ground is loose so the rain can go right through. I manure it every fall, and so I don't need to use any fertilizer, and see they're very, very healthy. And these are last year's canes, new canes, and the fruit comes onto those. On the everbearing, they fruit on new growth. So I have to cut them off right by the ground in January, February. New canes come up, the fruit on the new canes this year, and I cut them off again during the winter.
So we had quite a nice garden with lots of beans and corn and yeah, carrots. Actually, we grew quite nice carrots. They're too better than here. And I made wine. I made raspberry wine and cherry wine, and so one evening we had company, and I said, well, would you like a glass of wine? Yeah, we love some. So I went in the storage room, and all that was left was drop in the bottom of the wine bottles. It was all gone. So when he came home from work, he ate a couple of swallows. So I sorry, no wine for tonight.
Okay, these are my newly planted strawberries. Has some bark moles in it as well.
So that white stuff is not fertilizer?
No, the white stuff is perlite. It's a special agricultural perlite. Keeps it nice and open and airy. There's never any weeds, there's never any slugs, there's seldom any bugs. So that's a big advantage. No fertilizer, all organically grown. Every pot has little holes in the bottom as well, so they drain out, the water doesn't stand in the bottom. But as you can see, they've only been in here for, as I said, 8 days now. Look at how healthy that plant looks.
I love kale.
This is kale from last year, but I'm not ready to replant or reseed this bed. So I'll leave it in because the bees, mason bees, just love this. Here's my leek, and yeah, take a couple of leaves on the outside off. Beautiful, nice, clean leek. And so we'll do a number of those for you to take home. We'll use seed, put it in the greenhouse, seed it in the middle of May, and then in the middle of July I plant them out, and then by November, December, January, February we pull them out of the garden. Clean, very, very mild, because it's still so young. It's very mild. It's like a good radish, but it tastes like an onion. Now that means I may have to sleep alone tonight. I also plant 2 zucchini plants every year, because 2 zucchini plants will give us lots of zucchinis all through the summer, and enough big ones to make relish, because Oma makes relish for the whole family. Blackberries are prolific producers, and I've only got 4 canes here, and I believe 3 or 4 canes on the other side. I've trained them to come together in the center, and all of these are new canes. They'll all be fruiting this year. A lot nicer variety is what you see along the roadsides. These have no stingers on them whatsoever, and this is now just all new growth since the last 3 weeks. These will die in the fall after they quit producing. Probably 6 or 7 canes that come, but I keep the healthiest, the heaviest canes. I keep them again for next year. And the spring is when we do most of our work, every gardener does. And then some people, you'll see the garden is just going to waste in the summertime because it gets dry. They don't take the time to water.
Summer garden is fantastic.
So Oma can come out here and just clip a few of those things and chop them up and put them through our soups and our salads. So come on around and we'll have a look.
I love apples.
See the top ones here are early Gravenstein, Beautiful tasting apple, both for fresh eating and for applesauce. We picked some of the greener ones for applesauce. Brayberry, the later apple, is pick some of them out because there's too many on some of the branches, and they won't get big enough. This is the semi-dwarf Gravenstein, and this one here on the bottom is the McIntosh. So they're nice varieties. They're all different. This will be ready before this is. Grown without any sprays, without any fertilizers whatsoever. So, and then I have these hanging in here. You can see those, they're expensive, and they're just full of bugs. And so the bugs come here first because there's a pheromone in it before they go to the apples, and they're dead. So I don't need to spray. So organically, for me, is the way to go. Yeah, the yield is just as good, I find, and that's why I have the bees, the mason bees, because they work those apple trees tremendously from early spring till late fall, till there's no more blossoms left. And the only thing is they stay slightly smaller, but that's okay. Taste is what we go for. Here's a bird feeder. I fill it every 2 or 3 days with sunflowers, as you can see. I just filled it last night. Now the only drawback is that the squirrels, the whole neighborhood likes them too, but that's okay. Live and let live. Fall, what we call fall raspberries. You can see how full they are. They have a long ways to go yet. There's only 1 or 2. Well, I'll probably picked a few off of here, but see how nice and large that is. And look at all the ones that are still to come. It's just beautiful. They'll come until late October. This was the summer raspberries, and I just did all the pruning, and the new shoots for next year are ready to go. I just can't prune them back yet, because if you prune them back too early, then they get all kinds of side shoots and they don't put enough fruit on it. So they're thinned out, the old canes are gone, the sun can get at it, the rain can get at it, and we'll have nice strong canes for next spring. Although I won't be here, I won't be able to enjoy it, but that's okay. Somebody else can. The flavor has been outstanding this year because of the hot weather, and I've always had a chance to water once a week, and that seemed to be enough for the blackberries. Just a pleasure to grow blackberries, so easy to do. So there's lots of blackberries to come yet.
We would have plants all along the deck, and they had to be watered every day, and it was such a big job. Or we put our roosters there instead of plants. Only when I absolutely have to, I work in the garden, but otherwise not, no. What do I do wrong that you're laughing at that?
Bags and bags full already of the sweet little tomatoes.
Can you pick a handful of these little red ones?
Yeah, I can sure do that. I'll pick a handful of the little red ones to take in the house for lunch. But see how nice they are? That's beautiful. It's nice to have, nice and tasty, and healthy. What else can we wish for? So these are my grapes, and again, the grapes this year are just loaded. We've already picked buckets full. Picked the little sticks out so that Izzy doesn't swallow them, but I'm sure he'll love the grapes. So, lunch is ready. So we'll go through the strawberries for a minute if you like. And so we've been picking here now for over a month. No bugs, no rotten ones, no mildew. 6 o'clock this morning, I've picked a basket full. They're just hanging here. Lots of them. You'll have to taste it to believe me how good they are. We grow them in pots on a board. That way I don't have to get down on my knees to pick them. And in the center, there's a hose that's on automatic. It'll go on 4 times a day for 1 minute. It's just a mist that comes out. Not a whole slug of water, but a mist to keep the soil moist. Plants should never go to bed with wet feet. That's what I've been told. So you water early in the morning. Lily of the Valley, we have quite a few here around the peach trees. And Oma loves it because that's what she had in her bride's bouquet when we got married the 1st of June, 60 years ago. Of course, they spread by themselves, so I planted some plums here and there, and now we have lots of them.
Happy anniversary, Mama and Papa.
Well, I'll tell you, it's just loaded here. Beautiful, nice, large peaches. Just beautiful color and just the right ripeness. No sprays, no fertilizer. Just lots of water and love. There we go. That will make for a nice dessert. That's good enough to eat, I'll tell you that. Okay, I'll bring those away. Bring another box. This is called an upside down plant. Plant the root system through the hole in the bottom. Nice little tomatoes, ready to eat. And let me show you one other item that's just behind us here, if I can find it. Oh, here we are. And there's nothing nicer than pulling a carrot out of the ground.
I love carrots.
Wipe it on your pen lake and eat it. That is by far the best carrot you can ever get. And now we'll just reach up and pick a plum. And when you're old, you need to eat a couple of them every night. I pruned a plum tree early in the spring. Go to pick the plums, we cut them in small pieces, and they go in the freezer, or we keep them whole, one or the other. And they go through jam, or they go through other things, through fruit for dessert, and they're just marvelous, just beautiful. Beautiful carrots, just enough for a whole meal. Some a little further down, some a little further down. 3 different seedings, and so they never get old that way. You always have nice, fresh carrots. It sure wouldn't take long to pick a bucket full of beans. Just clusters of beans. And all they ever got was love, water, and cow poop. Look at the blossoms here. See, can you see the blossoms? And hopefully every one of them will be a bean. But isn't that beautiful? Out of one leek plant, you get that many seeds. So I grow my own seed for next year. Not only do I grow my own seed, so I don't have to buy any, but it's the bees and the butterflies just love it. And so I leave it here until the middle of September. Then I cut it off and let it dry, and then I shake it out in the wintertime, and I have beautiful seed for next year. So this coming year I won't need to do that, but I'll give it to somebody else. I'll do it anyway, and then somebody else can have the leek seed.
So, covered in the news.
We were very busy. I was a florist and I was by myself, so plus I worked in the greenhouse, so we had a very, very busy life. Very, very busy. I help in the spring to help planting the flowers. And that's about it. And then I pick them, and I pick the vegetables. And not always, because Opa quite often pick the vegetables too. If he doesn't have time, he's king of his garden.
So I'm going to miss all of this very much, because we bought another place. A crew comes every week to do a little bit of pruning and cut the grass. So I'll have nothing except for some flower boxes. And I'll make the most of that.
But Papa moved away. He moved his garden.
I'm going to miss it, because I'm out here every day, and this time of the year I go out after supper yet to pick strawberries and raspberries and blackberries for breakfast the next morning. And we mix that with yogurt, and that's our breakfast. And we have all the fruit we can have. And I can go do more visiting for that matter. There's lots and lots of people that need it, so I'll do more of that.
Winter, Mommy and Daddy get the new house. Now I have our own garden. I have baby plants. I also have a baby sister, Santa. I love Santa. I hope Daddy and Mommy plant seeds. I love blueberries. I love pears. I love pumpkins. I love mint.
You want one? No, pull another one. There's lots of them.
Gonna wipe that on your pant leg too?
Again, on this side, so keep it evenly dirty, and you can eat that. Not big, but very, very sweet. Very sweet.